Today is July 30th, 23. Oh my God. Okay. Yesterday and today I posted some things and to make sure it was public. Okay. I even put to the people that lost their kid in 2003, you're not thinking about things. A few months before they were killed in that traffic accident, her dad had stood up to Strange. Joyce, his wife, Phil's wife, had went to a ladies' meeting, and the girls in the middle of the night around midnight had went down and swum in the hotel pool. It's forbidden. You can't swim in front of people as men or women where they can see you. It's forbidden. Well, they waited till everybody was asleep. They made sure, and they went down and went swimming. Harmless. Bunch of 50-year-old women splashing around in the pool. Went back to their hotel room. Well, one of the bees told on them. Well, Phil was head usher. He was the song leader, soloist in a quartet. He, Strange told him, correct your wife. He said, I will not. We've been married since we were young. She would never dishonor me or her body and show it off to some other man. He said, I said, correct your wife. He said, no. I won't say a word. She didn't do anything wrong. He said, then you'll do nothing in this church. And he sat him down. He told everybody in the church he stood up to Strange. He didn't stand up to Strange. Okay? And he made sure everybody knew he defended his wife. Okay? I won't say a word to her. She did nothing wrong. Well, I told you, they play with people's vehicles. It comes down to the point, everybody said, why didn't he stop at that stop sign? Because if you stopped at the stop sign, they'd both be alive. How much you want to bet they played with his brakes? They played with my son Josh's brakes. So his tires locked up and his tires exploded. They took the lug nuts off so his tire came off while he was driving. His car blew up on the highway. Time the fire department got there, they couldn't say what happened. Everything was gone. They slashed his tires. They flattened them. My mom, when she quit his church, they put 3-inch nails and sharp objects up into her tires till she moved to Illinois. And then Illinois authorities said if she wouldn't have moved, they would have killed her. Okay? They slashed my tires. So we're going to go. Even other people that had quit the church, they have business trucks. They played with the hydraulics when they quit the church. With him openly and repeatedly telling everybody, standing up to Strange, how much you want to bet that bastard had somebody mess with his brakes to teach him a lesson? And it cost Phil and Tyler their life. Because why didn't he stop? You know, it's one thing when you're young and stupid and you don't stop at a stop sign. And it's another thing when you got your kids in the car, you're becoming an adult and you're more careful. But when you got your grandbabies in the car, it's different. You're 50 plus years old, you've got life behind you, responsibility, and then on top of it, you know you're not going to live forever. And those are your babies, and they're more precious than gold. And you would never hurt them or your children by ever putting them in harm. You defend them with your life because your life's not got much left in it. And it's a little bit of you going on. You defend it with your life. Those babies are more precious than gold. You're a grandparent. Those are grandbabies. You always stop at the stop sign. See what I mean? You don't ever let anything hurt them. And not be irresponsible. That's where it never made sense. Unless his brakes didn't work. My kids even thought Strange had him killed. And they said so. And then a bunch of other people died randomly. And my son Josh is like, I swear they kill people here. They do. Okay. And another thing I put on Facebook, right after Dave and I got married, weird things happen. People come up and say stuff, and I wouldn't know what they're talking about. And they'll look at me weird. And then other things. And then we had really good insurance when my dad hired him into his factory. And they had union insurance. When we started getting bills that weren't mine. And I said something. Okay? Well, I even had hospitals call me and ask me about, my stay there, seeing different doctors. I said, I haven't been seeing that, and I don't see that doctor. And they said, well, you have 2 little girls. I said, I have 3 stinky little boys, but I don't have any girls. I always wanted them, but I have 3 boys. No, your girls' name is this and this. And I said, no, I like those names, but I have boys. And I said something today, and he said, somebody must have stole your insurance information. Back then, you only had to have an insurance card. You didn't have to have ID. And I kept telling Dave he needed to dispute it. Well, I was talking to my brother last night, and he's like, Karen, I was on the union committee, and they pulled Dave in front of him. We know all these bills aren't your wife's. And told Dave he was to have to absorb. A lot of them ended up in our bankruptcy in 2002. But there was other ones that went to like collections and stuff, and we had to make payments because we couldn't prove it wasn't me. See what I mean? And then it got to the point of ridiculous, and I would say something. Karen, I'm with you except for when I'm at work. Kind of thing. Working the nights. During the case, 2 blonde girls showed up. Dave's our dad. Our mom was a single mom, and we grew up with nothing. People around him, they grew up with nothing. You'll learn to have nothing also. Dave wouldn't leave you to be with her wife, and those children grew up with nothing, and you'll learn not to have anything. And they hated me. Now, where is this Michael? He cheated with some single woman, and neither one of them are adult enough to come talk to me. Right? Back then, I looked like, people said I had brown hair, big blue eyes, 105 pounds. I could have found anybody. Looked like Wonder Woman. I could have found anybody. He was probably afraid my dad would fire him out of that factory. And then the big money be gone. I had endometriosis. And there's a couple things where I got really bad infections. Got diagnosed with, and I had only been with Dave since 1985, and so, and then before, what I mean, it was after we were married, after I had a child with him, and that's where he had to been cheating. Do you know some of those infections lead into endometriosis? So that horror caused my endometriosis because he cheated. You want to put it that way? But that woman has been impersonating me for about 30 years. That's where Advanced America, unless that was Michelle, it was that lady impersonating me. The year before that, I went for an interview at a really good loan company, good paying job, off the chart. Went back to talk to them. They said, after what people say about you. Now, this is before the temps. Okay? I said, what do you mean, what would people say about me? So I went to my loan companies I work for. Karen would always speak highly of you. Go to the other one. Karen, I would tell people you'd be a store manager by now. Go to the bank. Karen, I'd always say something nice about you. What are you talking about? They had people go out and cost me a really good loan company job back in 17. See, I had weird things like that happen to me continuously. And that makes you wonder where Dave beat me really bad. You learn to keep your filthy mouth shut, and I didn't talk to anybody. If it isn't that girl calling those people up. See, I went up to, and if Michelle didn't go up to Advanced America, cost me that job being an idiot, that girl did. Because I've never met this woman before in my life. It's like you sent me to the other store. So if that wasn't Michelle acting like an idiot, it was that woman. Because she cost me a job in 17 too. And a very good one. And I had stuff like that happen to me over 30 years. And then weird medical bills. And my brother and I were talking about last night. He said the union confronted Dave. And they knew that they weren't mine. He was letting them use. Some lady pulled up today. I went to the ATM for it, took my client to church. I see her out today. She's at that ATM. We found out that idiot was letting somebody else use their medical insurance before. I walked out of another store later on with a different client. Some guy walked by and said, "We're still here if you don't think we're not. Or I'm assigned to you today. We're still here. Don't think we're not here." I know that they're. See, I had a friend that worked at the prosecutor's office, Stark County. It'd be illegal for the FBI to drop you, no matter what. The government agrees to protect you. They can't unprotect you. They go to jail for that. It's the failure to protect is abuse and misconduct. He said once a government puts you in a protection program, don't matter which one it is, they can never drop you because they can hire somebody else to kill you. And he said, and you can tell whoever you want, and they can't say a word. He said that agent was trying to pull a fast one. The police can't go along with it. He said you'd have a life of peace as an informant. You'll be an informant the rest of your life unless they put you in a different witness protection program, but they have to talk to you first. And because that's where you have a life of peace as an informant, nothing legally stated, dated against you again, and only for you would we ever do this for. We'll always put it back to the traffic ticket, even when you tell. I opened an account for $5,000 a month. I'm starting an account today. It'll build through the case, and you'll have that, and from now on for working this case to live on. Okay? And like my friend said, they can't withhold your money either. And you'll stay an informant. And then he pulled, that he said that agent saying and switch flopping around, trying to keep you quiet. They can't even ask you to stay quiet. That agent is only a higher officer, only higher cops. They don't have that kind of authority to put a gag order on you. He said he was just trying to scare you. He said the only thing legal he did on that phone call was to list you informant with immunity and money. That's the only thing he had authority to do. He can't do anything else. He can't even ask you to stay quiet. The police can't go along with it. I said, well, they already knew. I don't care. I said, someone told on me the night before. They already knew. He said, I don't care. He said, you can tell whoever you want. They can't say a word. It's a freedom of speech. It takes a judge to put a gag order on you. He said, and I told him how he bullied me on false statements. He said, the police can't go along with that either. They know better. He said, and you'll stay an informant the rest of your life. And so when it's already came out, I've lived through so much, and then I've almost been murdered, I've been raped, I've been tortured, I've had my head bashed in, I've been drugged out the wazoo, I was human trafficked, almost shot driving, there's a shooting night, there's more people dead, there's other people were taken by the human traffickers and the drug traders out of this area. Now, I told you they already mocked FBI agent John for falling for the tapes before in Lighthouse Tabernacle, June 7th, 23, Walmart 62, about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. All the FBI agent John actually fell for the stunt of the tapes before. Come on now. That agent actually fell for it? It was only a stunt. You're kidding, John actually fell for it? You mean FBI agent John actually fell for the stunt of the tapes before? You're kidding. Ha, 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 ha. Is that what's going on? FBI agent John fell for the stunt of the tapes before and they were only a stunt? Is that why they got away with it? Ha, 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 ha. Told you. And then Eric, November 18th, 22, Walmart 62, 2 to 6 p.m. this time. Came in, all the tapes before were me and not her. It was my idea to come up with it, my idea to say it, my idea to do it. For all these people turn on and they actually fell for it. Ha, ha, ha. It's only you I can take care of it. I know it's that bad and they still fall for it. You gotta think. Okay. I told you they drugged me up too bad to call that agent back for a couple days, and then made myself get out of bed, got enough air in my face, and I called Sarah, and Sarah agreed to witness for me in order to give the hotline her information. And bought her card. We went up to Apostolic Church of Barberton, and Paul Paymer got in Dave's face. My God, I had an agent in my office. He's right there. I walk off, women come up as he's still screaming at him. He knows she's being drugged, beaten, raped, and he said he didn't care. And I go in and sit down. They say it again, and they said if she was going to be faking she was sick and faking she got well. Well, that was family was grieving. He didn't care what they did to her. Can you imagine him saying that? And he's told us all. It was in there when Dave comes in, let's go, and the threatens my life on the way home. The next day I called that agent back. I told him someone told on me on a recorded line. He called me a liar. It was verified November 6, 22 by investigators. The agent that called her back is verified by officers that he's seen him. They all seen him up there telling her the night before, oh my Lord. Dave told Danny April 15, 16, 23 there was an agent up at that church and asking threats on my life, and he even spoke to him. Okay. Now, on a recorded line, I tell him that. He calls me a liar. I tell him about the guy that threatened to knife me. He calls me a liar. I told him he tried to kidnap me before. He calls me a liar. Terry's seen him. He's a serial killer in this area. He killed my coworker Lori's family member, Brig Child. She died to people, and then took my house manager's niece, and he's part of the drug traders that are human trafficking people out of this area. That's who he's called me a liar. That's who they hired, the human traffickers. Okay? And yelling about a camera over the bench, and if I didn't know if there's a camera there, he'd put me in jail, and I'll say you're lying, I'll arrest you. There's badgering laws. There's obstruction, tampering with witnesses, and tampering with evidence. Is exactly what he did. Made me beg for my life, listed me, and then the guy in the back yelling about Pete's tapes before, and then weird, and then other stuff about Pete. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, starts giggling. She don't know. Stop. And I said, what's going on? He says, he started giggling again. He said, I said, stop. She don't know. To the other guy. 2 agents knew I was being stalked, drugged, and beaten, raped. Okay? And they didn't arrest him the first day. And they were laughing that a victim was being raped and stalked and drugged and beaten, framed. And they didn't arrest him on a recorded line and thought it was funny. An innocent woman in a cult was doing that to her on a recorded line, was giggling about it. and then made me beg for my life, and then listed me informant with the 5,000 a month immunity, even when you tell, the 5,000 a month, even when you tell, and then flip-flop. He already knew. They already admitted Pete. Dave told Danny April 15, 16 that he'd hire Pete on his own. They didn't have a court order. It wasn't the police. Pete was Dave's new girlfriend, his father, and his drug friends. Is that legal? Hell no. Is that admissible? No. Are they credible tapes? No. These idiots have been down here bragging everything. I can list off 10 different places I've drugged and told to say stuff, photoshopped a shower scene, framed me, and they think it's funny because they got away with it. Huh? Okay? Today, people were walking around me. Don't say a word. We all know they tamper with people's vehicles there. With that guy standing up to that minister, that minister probably did have him killed. None of this is funny. Don't say a word. Nobody else say a word to her again. That minister probably did have him killed. 2 ladies walked in a store today. We went to her, and we asked her. She said she didn't think about it. That she did tell her that it did go into remission before, and they didn't think about her dad standing up to that minister. And it was only Strange saying it. When Strange said it, they believed it. See, that's where I was in a restaurant with a client tonight, and they said they looked it up, and it was only Strange saying it, and that none of this is funny. And the one guy said it was probably the brain swelling causing all that stuff. And they were talking about the medication and stuff. I told you, other doctors told me, those other doctors that were bogusly putting false diagnoses and get me on those medication made me so sick, and there was nothing wrong with me, but I had fibromyalgia from having all those surgeries, my muscles locked up, that I should have sued him. Dave and I actually talked about suing him. And I'll tell you what, if Strange wouldn't have pushed Danny to suicide, I probably would have. Because the doctors even encouraged me to sue all those other doctors for medical malpractice. And Dave's like, do you want to sue him? I said, I don't know, but I had to deal with Danny and him going to counseling and all this stuff. And I said, I just want to put it behind me. It was a horrible time in my life, and I'm fine. And it was just a medication error. And he's like, are you sure you don't want to sue all of them? Because they falsely diagnosed you. See, back in around 2000 and a little bit past it, doctors were getting kickbacks from drug companies. And that's how the other doctors put it. You have a really good insurance. These doctors are sending you to their friends or their associates. They get referral kickbacks. And if whatever they specialize, they'll diagnose you with it. They'll get you on medication. And for every script they write from the drug companies, they could get as little as $25, and a lot of them are getting $200 to $1,000 on those big prescriptions. They are falsely writing prescriptions for people there's nothing wrong with them. And they're causing the side effects and making people sick. Well, a lot of doctors around 2000, 2003, 2005 went to jail for stuff like that. They even went to jail for giving people too many Vicodins, Percocets, and for any reason they were basically being drug pushers. And it was a kickback. And a lot of them went to jail for it. That's why nowadays, the only time you can actually get a Vicodin, you have to be hurt so bad it's ridiculous. Why? Because those doctors were being drug pushers. And then they were defrauding people's insurance companies and victims. And a lot of them went to jail. I got a lot of the crackpots. That's where at least 2 of my doctors, before the doctor that gave me the fentanyl patches, and told me there's nothing wrong with you. It's a medication making you sick. Once I get you off of it and get you just on pain medicine, get you out moving, just get you out of enough pain to actually get you moving, get those muscles to unlock, you'll be fine. And it's exactly what happened. My brain swelled. My heart got off. My thyroid quit working. My adrenal gland stopped working. My whole body's all swelled up. And I was dying from the medication. And that's where doctors had already told me, stop listening to this doctor that you went to. And then they sent you to their friends. And they're just diagnosing you with anything so they can write those scripts. And they're like, nothing's wrong with you, but you have fibromyalgia. Your muscles are locked up from all the surgeries. And they would tell me, don't even listen to them. Ignore what they're saying. There's nothing wrong with you. And then I got all my heart getting off. I have, blah, 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 brain swelling. And as soon as I got into that doctor that gave me the fentanyl patches, and he's like, there's nothing wrong with you, but you have fibromyalgia. They have misdiagnosed you. And they did it just to write those scripts. He said, I keep all my patients honest. He said, when I redo your script, I want you to bring in the used one and I count them. He said, I want people selling them. I said, well, I wouldn't do that in the first place. He said, I didn't think you would, but I make everybody stay honest and then I dispose of them. And so I would keep them in a box. I didn't turn my last box in, a couple boxes in, because I got well in the middle of it. And during the case, when I found them in a box, when we moved, I took them down and dispensed of them responsibly at Walgreens dispensary. Dave screamed at me, I wouldn't have brought you down here if I would have known you were getting rid of them. It's like they're 15 years old and they're not open. Why wouldn't I get rid of them responsibly? It's not like you can just throw them away. He screamed at me. See what I mean? What was wrong with me was severe medical malpractice that was happening really bad to a lot of people. And that's why the government cracked down on those doctors for prescribing wrong medications, misdiagnosing people, and then being basically drug pushers to get kickbacks. And a lot of them went to jail back then. That's where at least two of my doctors told me to sue all the other doctors. And then the doctor that I went gave me the fentanyl patches where I got out moving and I got better on just that. And then once I got well, the only thing I took was estrogen from having a hysterectomy for years. So he was right. He actually saved my life. But yeah, a lot of people didn't say anything besides don't say anything to her. That minister probably did have that man killed. And when I was in Trinity Gospel, some little kid yelled out, oh my goodness, they found out that somebody was impersonating Karen before. And they said they all know none of this is funny. Well, she's been impersonating me since the first year of my marriage. Random things happening that didn't make sense. And two blonde girls, grown blonde women, showed up and said those. How would they even know about it? My mom knew about it. Talking about that lady that had two little girls and was supposed to have been using my insurance. My brother knew about him letting some other woman use my medical insurance. Got in trouble with the union. She's been around, and he kept denying her. But if it wasn't Michelle acting like a Looney Tune, that lady's stalking me. And she's been stalking me for 30 years. That's how not funny this is. But I really blasted Ron and Lisa. And those ladies said they went and talked to her. They said she did tell them about the remission and they didn't think about it, them talking to her before that kid got killed. They didn't think about her dad standing up to that minister. And they do play with people's vehicles. And it was only the minister saying it. Other people showed up in a restaurant. They checked the records and it was only that minister saying she was faking she was sick. None of this is funny. I know. My Altman family physicians tell us everybody it was a medication error, allergic reaction basically. Made me swell up and misdiagnosed by all those doctors. Just trying to get basically kickbacks from drug companies. sending me their friends. And they kept telling me, don't go under them, any of them anymore. They're just saying anything so that they'll write those prescriptions. They're causing side effects and making you sicker. There's nothing wrong with you, but you have fibromyalgia. Your muscles locked up from all those surgeries. It was the only thing wrong with me. That's why I got better. When I got off of them, the brain swelling went down. Dear God, the brain swelling alone could make you not walk right. Let alone my legs were swollen until they were popping out of place. Even the guy said the brain swelling probably caused a lot of symptoms. And it probably was the medication. Well, I had to be. As soon as I got it off, everything went down. It's a severe allergic reaction. That's where several of my doctors told me to sue those other doctors. And Dave and I actually talked about it. And if Dave Stranger wouldn't have pushed Danny to suicide, I probably would have sued him. See, that's where I told Dave, I said, at this point, I'm just grateful to be alive and healthy, and I just want to put that horrible time behind me. So all these people being mean to me, I really blasted them on Facebook. They need to realize, why didn't that man stop at the stop sign? He probably played with his brakes for standing up to him, or had somebody. Like those people said, we all know those people play with vehicles. My son John was fighting with Melissa once, and somebody took his truck, rolled it, and put it back in his driveway. He said either Melissa had to give him the key, or by accident he left it in the truck the night, and somebody took it and rolled it and purposely put it back in his driveway for a warning. I told you, they kept playing with my mom's vehicle until she left state. That's why she don't come back to Ohio. I'm going to upload this. The FBI needs to get my money. 2 agents acknowledged Pete on a recorded line. Like that lady said, it was on a recorded line. Agents admitting they knew what they were doing to me before and didn't arrest him. Dave cannot hire his girlfriend's dad and a drug cartel to drug me and frame me. I was talking to this one guy last night. He said, I've heard about those roofies. He said those women will sit and talk to you, be wide awake, no memory, go along with everything. And they can take them home, have sex with them, they'll go along with it and have no memory. He said, I heard them. They last, about 4 hours? I said, 4 to 6. He said, I've heard about those. I said, I know. I've even talked to a sheriff about them. You have no memory, you're wide awake. And I said they were doing something like needling, where I looked it up, they can actually inject you with them, and it works fast, or just walk up and stab you. And he said they were doing that kind of stuff to you, and I said, yes. And I was telling him some of the stuff that happened. He's like, boy, you could write a bestseller on this. That's what the guy said in the mall. He's like, I could write a bestseller on what's happening here. I call it Karen's Prayers. A paid-off dirty agent, a man trying to kill his wife, and men being shot at running. It'd be a bestseller. See, the FBI, if they pull the recorded line, 2 agents that could go about Pete. Who's Pete? Dave's girlfriend's dad. There was no quarter. There was no police involved. It was his girlfriend's dad and a drug cartel that was human trafficking people, drugging me out and framing me, and photoshopping scenes. And they acknowledged that I didn't know. And they left me up there to die. People were saying, because of what that minister said, they let him get away with raping him. Agents are cops. They're trained not to fall for scams. Huh? They're trained not to listen to occult leaders or people trying to scam them that are brainwashed. See, if he would have went to Altman Family Physicians, they told Dave right in front of the cops, the first or second month, they tell me every year, it's a good thing you got off all those medications. You always blame the steroids, but they had you on so many medications. It was a medication error, allergic reaction, that made you swell up and made everything quit working. It's a good thing you got on high doses of pain medicine and got out moving. I would have died. You do realize that. Those bastards almost killed me. And those agents left me up there to die. People will complain in Walmart. We all know they left her up there to die. Left me up there to die because a minister lied to her? Do you realize with them acknowledging Pete, who's Pete? Dave said he hired Pete on his own. Pete's Dave's girlfriend. Dave knew. They've been in contact with Dave, Pete, Strange, and Ron. Pulling their big scam, and they didn't arrest him. They owe me that money from the case. And they, like my friend from the prosecutor's office, they can never drop you. And do you want me to act like the jackass people that laugh at them for falling for their stunt? Ha ha ha, you can't get rid of me? You're stuck with me. And you know what? You big meanies, you left me up there to die in the middle of a drug cartel. You let them bash my skull in, drug, beat, rape me. You let them almost shoot me driving a shooting night. Other people are dead. You let them human traffic me. You let them drug the hell out of me till I lost 70 pounds. People got taken around me. Oh, and if they pull the damn case, they actually may find some of the girls. They want the king guys from Florida. They were around me, admitting they were human trafficking people out of this area. They pulled the case. They got a lot of bad guys. And they have those churches hiring them. It has got to the point people need to be scared and need to turn every one of these bastards in. And they need to pull the case. And those two agents need arrested. They knew a victim of an occult was having them stalked, drugged, beat, raped, and human trafficked out of their own house, drugged and framed and photoshopped, and didn't know what was happening to them in non-credible stalking tapes, and that they weren't allowed to look at them for the Fourth Amendment. And they knew they were framing me and were giggling under their breath. And that I didn't know. And since when do higher cops think it's funny hurting and raping women? They owe me that money for being an informant. Like the lady said, it's disgusting what's going on. I looked her up. She is an informant. Like my friend from the prosecutor's office, they can never drop you. It'd be illegal. They'd go to jail. It's a failure to protect us, abuse and misconduct. The government can never drop you. They can hire someone else to kill you. They agree to protect you. They can't unprotect you. She's owed that money from before and the rest of her life for taking care of herself for working this case. And they can't withhold it. No, they can't. It's embezzlement. It's 30 years. Embezzlement is withholding or misdirecting any kind of money. It's mine and due to me. And then she even says on a recorded line, agents admitting to know what they were doing to her before, and they didn't arrest them on the first day. We found out that they knew that she was being drug, beat, and raped, and they still didn't arrest them. And they have let people get killed here and still hasn't stopped us. Everybody turned them in. Department of Justice, NSA, anybody you can think of, CIA, get somebody else down here. I'm not the only one they've hurt, or people have been killed around me. And then, you know what? They pull the case, they find those girls. It's everything. They actually set the place in Florida they were going to take. And the main human traffickers were around me. Kingsman from Texas, the Michigan group, the New York from Buffalo, and a whole ton of Florida human traffickers. They left me in the middle of them.